There can be no greater endorsement than trial by fire. And for India, that moment once again came in the summer of 1999.
5, 9, 4, 0, miss!
It was then that the army was tasked to recover uninhabitable peaks from Pakistani infiltrators. Before the ground troops achieved the unthinkable, the targets required what is militarily referred to as softening up, a step that saw the army's artillery arms stepping into the ring. And yes, there was nothing soft about it. The School of Artillery, located at the outskirts of Maharashtra's Nashik city. Not only do boys turn here into men, they are further molded to emerge as gunners no one would like to end up on the wrong side of. Spread over a seemingly limitless expanse, this one-of-its-kind institute also plays host to a variety of friendly foreign armed forces which send their personnel to learn the ways of the big guns.
The rockets on target. Please look towards Khabare.
Once a year is when the army reveals a glimpse of what it has in store for the enemy. That day is today.
Everybody in the gun position is charged with a sense of urgency.
For years now, exercise Sarvatra Prahar has been a site of an annual pilgrimage for Indian Army's artillery family. An artillery family basically means all those weapons about which you hear when you hear the word shelling or cross-border shelling takes place across the line of control or the international border. Just to give you a brief understanding, out here is the entire range of India's artillery equipment, from the lighter mortars to weapons like the light field gun to the much scam-tainted and yet effective Bofors gun, and of course the multi-barrel rocket launchers, the Pinakas. All of them are right here behind us, but we're going to go a step further. You've seen what they do, you've seen how they fire, and you've seen the effect that they have. What we're going to do is we'll take a step further, we'll make you meet the men, we'll make you hear the stories of those who actually drive and ride these machines.
For reasons good and bad, there is hardly anyone in the country who doesn't know the Bofors gun. Of all the artillery guns India currently holds, this one has the distinction of being the longest in terms of range, nastiest in terms of its ammunition, and deadliest in terms of its impact. Presently in its 4th decade in service, it also is among our oldest guns. To handle this one is a task not so ordinary, and years of effort both on ground and in examinations have seen Subedar Resham Lal, Havaldar Balwinder Singh and Nayak Mahesh Kumar, all from the 230 medium regiment, rise to make the Bofors beast roar.
तो आप नंबर 1 हो, तो ये नंबर 1 क्या होता है और इसका क्या मतलब निकलता है?
नंबर 1 एक गन का कमांडर होता है, जो रेजिमेंट उसके 7 आदमी उसके अंडर में होते हैं।
अच्छा।
जो ओवरऑल गन की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होता है, फायरिंग कराने का, गन की सर्विसिबिलिटी का, हर एक मेंटेनेंस करने का, उसका जो उसके अंडर में जवान उसका ट्रेनिंग कराने का, उसका लीव प्लान करने का, भेजने का, ओवरऑल उसका पूरा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होता है उसको। यहाँ तक पहुँचने तकरीबन आदमी की जो सर्विस है 15 से 18 साल के बीच में हो जाती है।
जैसे डिटैचमेंट का जो सीनियर होता है, कमांडर होता है, वो नंबर 1 होता है, हौलदार रैंक का होता है। अभी नेक्स्ट में जो लेयर होता है, जो गन को ले करना है, टारगेट के ऊपर जो फायर करना है, उसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होता है सही टारगेट पर ले करना है, सही राउंड जाना है, क्या करना है, उसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी पूरा जवाबदारी उसका होता है।
Subedar Resham Lal is what they call a troop leader, and a troop leader has a complement of 3 Bofors guns placed under him. Resham Lal shares with us the secret behind building a cohesive band of brothers.
जो नंबर 1 है, ये नंबर 1 है, इसके घर के बारे में मेरे को पता है, कितना इसका सब पता है इसको, और इसके बारे में मेरे बारे में इसको पता है पूरा। तो उतना हमारे को मतलब प्रॉब्लम नहीं।
वो फैमिली और एक ये फैमिली।
ये ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होती है क्योंकि हम 8 महीने 9 महीने तो फौज में ही बिताने हैं, 3 महीने घर जाना है।
We then asked the men what it means to have the gun, which is perhaps the most talked about piece of defense equipment.
इसके साथ जो भी हमने काम किए इतने 20 साल, 22 साल, 24 साल, तो आदमी को कभी भूलता नहीं। एक परिवार की तरह होता है, घर की तरह होता है। इसी माहौल में आदमी ढल जाता है। तो घर में जाने के बाद आर्मी की याद आती है, उसी की याद आती है।
कारगिल युद्ध में तो इस गन ने जो भूमिका निभाई थी वो सभी जानते हैं, बोलने की जरूरत तो है नहीं। जो ये गन जो मतलब रिजल्ट देती है टारगेट के ऊपर, और जितना ये इसका जो रेट ऑफ फायर है 14 सेकंड में अपना 3 राउंड फायर करती है, वो तो 15 साल के बाद भी याद रहेगा और 20 साल के बाद भी याद रहेगा। इसकी जो कैपेबिलिटी है बहुत ज़्यादा है।
इसके फंक्शन में इतना इजी है कि कोई भी जवान थोड़ा समझाने के बाद, थोड़ा ट्रेनिंग देने के बाद में इसको ऑपरेट कर सकता है, यूज़ कर सकता है। और हम जगह जगह इतना, तकरीबन मेरा सर्विस 16 साल क्रॉस होने वाला है। मैंने अभी तक जितना इसके साथ में काम किया है, नए नए एक्सपीरियंस, हर बार हम जिस भी ऑपरेशन में हिस्सा लेते हैं अलग अलग तरह का एक्सपीरियंस हमें मिलता है।
And there's yet another side to a gun like the Bofors, a side their commanding officer brings to us.
Compared to the other guns, the equipment that with which we actually fire this the piece is a lot more scientific and little more technical. So you need to have a correct balance of, I would say, josh and hosh while you're employing and firing this weapon. Right up till I would say a gunner havaldar to be able to command the gun rate of a Bofors needs to put in at least 15 to 18 years of hard work. That is how long it takes to actually master himself on the gun. And below him are the other Nayaks and the Lance Nayaks and the gunners who are there, who are slowly and steadily are going to achieve that kind of an excellence. The nights that we spent prior to that, getting the guns into the gun pits, digging the gun pits, and getting the entire equipment ready, coordinating it with the OP end. So those sleepless nights that we actually spend just before the technical day, I would say, are the most difficult part that we've been through.
So basically being ready and preparing yourself to be able to fire it right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's where
Yes.
you would say that takes much more of an effort.
Yes, that does.
Okay.
If size and reach is what tips the scale in favor of the Bofors gun, the 120mm mortar too can claim the same. This compact and portable made-in-India weapon has pounded India's enemy quite mercilessly, whether in the Kargil war or recently during the ceasefire violations. Operable by a crew of 3 to 5 personnel, such is the operational flexibility offered by the adjustable mortar that it can be fired at targets located beyond 6.5 kilometers away to barely 500 meters away.
ओपी अफसर जहाँ पे राउंड को मांगता है, चाहता है, वहाँ पे गन को फायर किया जाता है। अगर गोला थोड़ा सा लेफ्ट या राइट है तो ओपी अफसर उसको करेक्शन देके गोले को एडजस्ट करता है। बाकी गन जा नहीं सकती, वो उस जगह पे ये मोटर जा सकता है और वहाँ से हम फायर कर सकते हैं। खास करके कोई ऊंची पहाड़ी हो और पीछे से दुश्मन छुपा हुआ एकदम पीछे से कम मतलब 500 मीटर तक हम नज़दीक गोला गिरा सकते हैं इसको। इसमें जो ये 5 आदमी है, फायर करने के बाद इसमें बैरल में कार्बन जम जाता है, तो इसको साफ करना पड़ता है केरोसिन के जरिए और C70 तेल लगाते हैं। ये 5 आदमी साफ करते हैं। इसके बाद भी इसमें और भी मेंटेनेंस है। 99 के दौरान जब हम कारगिल में डिप्लॉयड थे, उस वक्त इसका बहुत कारगर फायर रहा।
The Rudra Weapon Systems Integrated is the first attack-cum-utility helicopter produced by and in India. Replete with 70mm rockets, the air-to-air Mistral missile and its turret gun, the chopper is meant to provide close air support to advancing ground troops. An impressed army is actively deploying these blackbirds across the country's western and eastern borders. And these are the men behind this machine.
WSI, you have the systems also integrated onto it, both the weapon and the mission system, thereby requiring multitasking as far as the pilots are concerned, huge amount of training, and be able to also fly the aircraft. from a utility Hepter pilot who had his priority of flying the aircraft.
Logistics, CASEVAC and all of that.
Exactly. So now a WSI pilot is managing his weapon and mission system, and at the same time he's also flying. So the tasks have increased.
These pilots then told us how opting for flying was a decision they made and why.
So when I was posted in Kargil, I saw helicopters flying, and in fact I had the opportunity to fly in an aircraft out of Kargil to Leh. That was the time that motivated me to join the helicopter fleet. Here I am.
मेरी फर्स्ट पोस्टिंग थी द्रास में। तो द्रास में आपका जो एक्सपोजर है टुवर्ड्स आर्मी एविएशन बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, बिकॉज वो ऐसी जगह है जहाँ पे क्या सब कुछ निर्भर होता है। आपका कैज़वैक्स, आपका जो विंटर स्टॉकिंग है पोस्ट की, वो सब हेलीकॉप्टर्स के द्वारा ही की जाती है। तो इसीलिए आप कह सकते हैं कि वो मेरे लिए एक मोटिवेटिंग फैक्टर था आर्मी एविएशन ज्वाइन करने के लिए। मैं पिछले साल ही जम्मू कश्मीर में पोस्टेड था, तो वहाँ पे हमने एक कैजुअल्टी इवैक्यूएशन किया। एक पेट्रोलिंग पे एक पार्टी गई थी, एक जवान को सडनली हमें निकालने की ज़रूरत पड़ी। हम जहाँ पे लैंड किए वहाँ पे एक प्रिपेयर्ड हेलीपैड नहीं था, तो हमने उनको बताया कि हम जहाँ पे लैंड करने वाले हैं आप वहाँ पे हमें कोई इंडिकेशन दीजिए ताकि हमें पता लग सके हमें कहाँ पे लैंड करना है। एंड उस इंडिकेशन को देखते हुए हम उस अनप्रिपेयर्ड एरिया में हमने लैंड किया और हमने उस जवान को वहाँ से निकाला। सो विच आई बिलीव इस काम के लिए आपकी जो मेंटल एजिलिटी है, मेंटल एजिलिटी प्लस आपकी जो फ्लाइंग स्किल्स है, इन दोनों की ज़रूरत है ऐसे मिशन को अंजाम।
To know what tomorrow looks like as far as India's artillery arm is concerned, we veered our course northwards from Nashik, entering the town of Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh. The role this town plays in arming and equipping India is borne out by the number of defense and other public sector undertakings it hosts. One among them is the gun carriage factory, which is where we are headed.
It is nothing like what India has seen before. It is nothing like what India has ever produced before. India today gets on the ground to get to you the story behind India's first self-made long-range artillery gun, the Dhanush.
Having pounded the test ranges of the Indian Army with over 3,500 pulverizing rounds for 4 long years, the Dhanush gun, with its unmatched firepower and reach, is seen here for the very first time. Little stands between the Dhanush and the Indian Army, with the latter having cleared almost all test parameters. It all began here at the gun carriage factory in Jabalpur. In 2003, in the aftermath of the Kargil war, where the Bofors gun played a pivotal role, began an effort to upgrade the scam-ridden gun. As the move gathered steam, it was felt that an upgrade too had its limits and that it was within India's reach to build a brand new and, more importantly, more powerful gun. In 2011, the government approved the idea. From then to now, this is what progress has meant. A simple comparison between the two guns tells you that the Dhanush is a generation ahead, as it should be. The visible difference is in terms of range, design, amount of automation, as well as flexibility in terms of ammunition used. Another winning aspect is the gun's ability to fire accurately and devastate a much larger area as compared to the Bofors. Key concerns, however, remain the reliability and quality of Dhanush, something agreed by most parties involved. For Senior General Manager S.K. Singh, this gun represents the rare opportunity to turn his department, the Ordnance Factory Board, and his gun carriage factory into popular household names.
Not only when I am going out, whoever is coming to Jabalpur, they are very keen to have a look at Dhanush. As usual, when Honorable Raksha Mantri was here, we had taken him to exhibition hall and he was not very keen there and he said, I want to go and see Dhanush. So we brought him here in the integration center, and he himself saw the gun in functioning condition.
He's clearly sensed what stardom feels like, but knows there is some distance still to be covered.
जो हम लोगों का कंसर्न है वो ये है कि हम फ्यूचर में भी क्वालिटी कंसिस्टेंटली मेंटेन रखें, क्योंकि ये पहला अटेम्प्ट है, मेडन अटेम्प्ट है, और ढेर सारे इश्यूज हैं, बहुत सारे सप्लायर्स हैं हमारे, उनकी क्वालिटी का भी सवाल है, क्योंकि हर की क्वालिटी गन की फाइनल क्वालिटी बनती है। तो ये इशू है कि वो कैसे हम लोग इंश्योर करें कि जो भी हम बाहर से भी ले रहे हैं और जो हम खुद बना रहे हैं उसकी क्वालिटी जो है कंसिस्टेंट रहे और हम फ्यूचर में एक रिलायबल गन इंडियन आर्मी को दे सकें।
The GCF has invested close to 100 crore rupees in revamping itself. Its workforce has plunged from about 16,000 15 years ago to less than a fourth of that today, but the value of its work has peaked. The Dhanush is actually an integration carried out by the GCF of components being supplied by as many as 9 other units. Its makers claim that more than 84% of the 8,500 odd components that go into a single gun are Indian, that reliance on foreign spares will further reduce.
Building a gun as complex as an artillery gun isn't obviously an easy task. It has its own peculiarities. In fact, right now on my right hand side, this is a station, so to speak, where a gun is being assembled. As you can see, it's in its infancy, but on its further right hand side is where a gun is nearing completion. You can see that a gun is basically built at a certain station. Different assemblies, different components are brought to it at this particular point. This is where it actually grows and emerges quite organically, after which it is fired to prove whether the gun can function or not. Only once all of that happens, only once it fires to the satisfaction of the makers, does the user come into the picture. The user, of course, is the Indian Army.
The self-propelled Dhanush, weighing 12.7 tons and costing 13 crore rupees a piece, is the closest to being termed a runaway hit, but it isn't there just yet. We asked Rajiv Sharma, the head of the GCF's Dhanush program, as well as its research cell, if he still worries about the distance the gun has to cover so as to live up to the Indian Army's expectations.
A unique feature of this project has been that the user has been associated in this project right from the word go. When this project was started, a weapon development and execution team was specially formulated by the Directorate of Artillery, and which is co-located at Jabalpur. It is headed by a brigadier, and there are 2 lieutenant colonels in it. We built up something, we were able to check it instantaneously. The feedback came instantaneously. Then we could take it for firing trials, where the user debt was always there with us for doing the firings. So the feedback came fast.
One reason behind Sharma's optimism may have to do with the fact that the gun, born out of a scam taint, has never had it easy.
There was no godfather. We had to dig out those documents. We had to convert those into production documents, transfer do all the preparation work, because as you know, building up a gun or building up the sub-assemblies is not an easy process. It's not just that you go and load a component on the gun. You have to make preparations for that. You have to have the right material. You have to have the right jigs, fixtures, machines. Once these guns come in and the user starts using them, the numbers will grow, and we are looking at a huge market, so to say.
Fortunately for Sharma, a hungry yet quality-conscious army is nodding in agreement and seems largely satisfied with the brand new gun.
Well, the gun is an excellent gun. As a nation, we should be proud that we have our first indigenous gun system. 30 years back, when we made the Indian field gun, we had something called a gun development team, which was overseeing this entire production process, the design process and everything. Unfortunately, we broke that. You need a structure to be put in place where we can take this gun to the next level, and we can take gun manufacturing in India to the next level, so that we have total strategic independence and we don't have to depend on anyone else.
For the Dhanush, its first big break has already arrived. The government, in a bid to bring Dhanush closer to the people, has asked the GCF to ready 2 guns for the Republic Day parade.
The Dhanush has been connected and now it's set to go. We know that the gun has covered a long distance, though there still remains some more distance to be covered, and only time, of course, will tell us just how the evolution of this indigenous gun actually goes. But what we do know is that you would not want to be on the wrong side of the Dhanush.